Who are these people?
Tell you something, brother!
Who are these people?
Notice me, senpai. Notice me.
Don't be rude.
Who are these people?
Don't be rude.
Hello.
All right, welcome back
Don't
to the show. And it's been a couple weeks, so
Yes.
we haven't been together in a couple weeks. So hi, Cowboy.
Hey, Cowboy.
And thank you for joining us. This is Pro Wrestling Talk. My name is Angel Rivera, alongside my co-host Mrs.Witchy Perfect. How we doing today?
Better, much better than last week. It was just like everything all at once, like your sinuses and your girly things, and yeah, it's just like it's just like boom, and I'm like, no, ow. But it's getting much better, I think.
Yeah. And last week, wait. Oh, okay, no.
Maybe I inhaled the cleaning supplies by accident.
Yeah, last week was
my son's birthday. Yes, it was my son's birthday. And I had every intention of doing the show. I just, like I said, I had to literally clean my house, and maybe I just got a little too much of the chemicals because I was just like all kinds of lightheaded and just didn't feel very well. So, but my son had a good birthday, so that's all that matters.
Okay, good. Last week was Game 2 of the World Series last Saturday, and honestly, I was tired too. So it was like, wait, you beat me to it, but I didn't think I wasn't gonna do the show either. So it was like, okay, she beat me to it, but so yeah, let's get to it. As everybody knows, earlier today was the Crown Jewel pay-per-view in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia. Started at 1 o'clock Eastern, which is why we're doing the show today, because if not, we probably wouldn't be doing the show today. November 30th is Survivor Series War Games. It's in Canada, so it'll be 7 o'clock start. So we're not going to be here for that on November 30th, which is the last Saturday of the month. But
of course.
All right, so yeah, Crown Jewel was in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, in the Mohammed Abdo Arena. That's what they said. And of course, before the show started, we had to be treated to pro Saudi propaganda and talk about how we need to go on vacation there, how beautiful it is there in Riyadh, and all this other stuff. And we were treated that
Yeah, no, thank
propaganda throughout
you.
the show. We were treated
I
to that
will.
propaganda.
Yeah, I know. I will not be going to Saudi Arabia anytime. And really, when I was watching that pre-show, I was kind of like, well, I was kind of in and out because I was at work, and
Yeah.
I just kind of needed some background noise while I was tearing apart
Mhm.
computers, of course. And they went on this like luxurious cuisine. I went, what is this? A cooking show? Get off of there. This is not, the what is it? The Food Network or whatever. This is not that. Okay, I
There.
understand they have their own cuisine, they have their own stuff. Okay, great. Whoopie do.
Mhm.
The thing is, you have to be a rich person to literally get
Yeah.
over there.
It's like they built this whole WWE experience too, which is only in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
And they've gone all in on this relationship with Saudi Arabia. So
I
it's
mean,
not just Vince, who's the evil motherfucker who signed this deal with Saudi Arabia. No, new owners
exactly.
too. They went all in on it too. It's oh yeah, I mean absolutely. You're paying us $150 million per show to run these shows. Oh yeah, we'll take that money. And we put on a
Yeah.
mediocre card at best. If it's what they did, they put on a mediocre card. It wasn't even
Yeah,
that
it
good.
was. I mean, some of it was, it was how it should have been. And then I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, that just ended so wrong.
Mhm.
Excuse me a minute.
Yeah, they get paid $150 million per show, and they go there twice a year. So it's an easy $300
Jeez.
million in revenue. So it's
Give
like,
me
oh yeah,
100
of course.
million or 150 million, you said?
Per
Give me
show.
150 million. See what I do with it.
That's per show. So
Per
that's
show.
why. Yeah, so it's twice a year. So they go over 300 million per year at least.
Yeah, and they're
I'm
supposed to
not.
have what, the Royal Rumble over there again, and then
Yeah.
is it not WrestleMania because they're in Las Vegas, but SummerSlam? Is it
In the
SummerSlam?
future, the Saudi Sports Authority is what it's called. They're planning to have a WrestleMania and a Royal Rumble in the same year.
In 2026, right?
Yeah, that's the plan. So, in
Okay,
other
that's right.
words, that means that these guys are going to take that 18-hour flight 4 times in 1 year. For the Royal Rumble, for WrestleMania,
Pulling your hair out.
Crown Jewel shows in 2026. So, good luck with that.
Not my cup of tea, but sure, okay. That's right, because this year SummerSlam is on the 2nd and 3rd of August in the MetLife Stadium.
Here in New Jersey.
That's your neck of the woods.
Yeah, we used to call it Giant Stadium, but they built a new stadium and it's now called MetLife as a corporate name on it. So
of course,
it's 2nd and 3rd August of next year. SummerSlam's taking place out here, which I can't. It's less than an hour from where I live, but good luck trying to get tickets. They're very expensive.
They didn't go on sale yet. I'm sorry. They went on sale for WrestleMania. That's right.
Yeah, I don't know. Not for SummerSlam. Not yet. It's too early. All right.
Good luck getting tickets for WrestleMania. I can't imagine what those tickets are like. I'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna have to get a mortgage or something. I'm gonna have to mortgage my house or something.
Oh God. Apparently, I've heard they're in the thousands and tens of thousands of dollars just for floor
that's more
seats.
than I make in a year.
Yeah, that's just for floor seats. You're trying to get even seats in the nosebleeds are very expensive. So it's a few $100s. So let's get to the 6-match card. Only 6. Usually I have 5, but they added. Actually, it's supposed to be 7, but we'll get to that. But all right, the opening match they opened, and my mom was like, they opened Roman Reigns. I was like,
I know. I said the same thing to you. I was like, really? They want to start with the bloodline? Question mark.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like, why? It's like, maybe Roman Reigns wants to get on a flight and fuck off back to the United States as quickly as possible. So that's why I told her. That's why they probably opened with Roman, but because all right, so the bloodline, Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, and Tama Tonga with Tonga Loa defeated Roman Reigns and the Usos by pinfall in 16 minutes and 35 seconds.
Yeah, I give this match 2 stars because it just ended flatly. I was kind of like hyped up. Oh, Roman Reigns are gonna win, and they didn't. I'm like, that just left a bad taste in my mouth, y'all. I'm sorry, but when it comes to like stuff like that, no offense, but I think Roman Reigns should have won because it seems like week after week after week on SmackDown, they literally were beating up Roman Reigns every single week and Jimmy Uso.
Yeah. Hey, CBC.
Hi, CBC.
Welcome.
So we actually had
no, I don't insist. I don't insist. Sorry. My Siri just went off randomly. It's like, like
Siri,
if you insist,
to you, we're talking
if you
about
insist,
SmackDown.
if you insist, I was like, no, I don't insist. Like, what? I don't even my watch on for that reason. It still went off. So, what you saying? I'm sorry, I wasn't.
That's okay. I give it 2 stars because again, it ended flatly. Again, week after week, it just seems like Roman Reigns was left for dead almost every single week with Jimmy Uso. Finally, we get Jey Uso on SmackDown. I actually did watch a little highlights of SmackDown. And, they come out and they all do this. And Jay's like, you know what? I'm not going to, we're not going to do this your way. I will join you. Yeah, I saw that too. Visit my office more than others. Oh my, Vince. Vince's evil mustache. But this past week on SmackDown, which was a good one, I thought. It's just like, Jay comes out and says, I'm not going to do this your way, Roman. It's not going to be your way. It's going to be equal, right down the middle. It's going to be, straight down the middle for everybody. Okay, great, good. And then, Roman Reigns comes back with yeet. So I'm guessing that means, yes, of course. Okay, fine. I'll do whatever you want. And then they point that one in the sky and they're together. Right.
Yeah.
So they come out, of course, Uso, excuse me for just a second. Sorry. So Jimmy Uso and Roman Reigns come out, and then of course Jay comes out separate. And then there was that point there where they're all screaming, "We want Roman!" We want Roman. And then Roman just goes like this, okay, fine, let's go. Let's give the crowd what they want. And Jay tags Jimmy. So they were already sowing the seeds for like a little dissension there. Yeah. And I was like, oh, come on, boys. Let's just do this, you guys are going to, I thought at the time, I'm like, you guys are going to win anyway. So you might as well, play the game. So here we are playing the game. And to me, it just ended so flatly. I was just like, 1, 2, 3, really? Sikoa had to do all that. So I'm like, oh, come on. It ended so flatly. I thought it should have been different. It should have ended differently.
Yeah, and there was an afterbirth too after the match where they all started fighting each other. But I'll get to that in a second. Well, I don't know. It seems like they rushed the bloodline back together for this match. And it felt really rushed. Like 1 week, Jay is like, "Oh no, I don't never want to see you or Roman again." Right. Like next week, it's like, "Okay, I mean, fine, let's do this." We're family, and I felt like really rushed. Like they're like, "Oh shit, gotta get Roman on the card somehow. So how are we gonna do this? Okay, let's just put him back together and do a 6-man tag." So I felt really rushed. They were milking the shit out of Roman Reigns, getting into the match. He didn't get into the match nearly the end. I mean, that's why they did
WCW. Listen to me. I can't even speak. WWE loves milking that stuff. I mean, they really love it. Always their dissension. Always Jay trying to teach, Roman a lesson. Yeah. And then all of a sudden it's, he's the only one he can tag at this point. So Jimmy just goes.
And no choice but to tag. And
but the crowd was into it. The crowd was, very adamant that they, they wanted their OTC in the ring. Hey, great. But I mean, it just really, you want Sikoa to win? I just, it left a bad taste in my mouth.
Well, the finish exactly was Jacob Fatu kind of beat up Roman Reigns and hit his moonsault on him. And then Solo grabbed him and hit his finish twice. Which is another issue that I have. Like, can't you just hit it once and pin him? Is like you're burying your own finish when you do that.
What happened to finishers? Everyone had a finisher, and that's why you had a finisher. I mean, that's why you had the perfect plex, because nobody, unless Kurt preordained you to kick out of the perfect plex, he had one finisher, and usually the perfect plex did you in. So
and he hit the Samoan spike twice and just pinned him 1, 2, 3, which did feel kind of flat. And everybody,
Yeah.
and I was surprised that Roman got beat. And not, I thought they would beat one of the Usos, I guess, but they beat Roman. I guess they're trying to get Solo Sikoa over as a legitimate threat, which is why they beat Roman. But Roman's been getting his ass kicked a lot lately, and I don't.
That's what I mean. Like,
And
it
I
seems
don't
like
think the
every
fans want to see that.
SmackDown. Yeah, it
And
seems like
I don't
every
think the
SmackDown. Sorry, go ahead.
no, I don't. I said I'm about to say I don't think the fans want to see that. I mean, they it seemed like they're disappointed when he gets beat down, and like I thought he would come back as like that super baby face, never gets beat and destroys everybody like Hogan. Like Hogan never put anybody over. But that's what the fans want. They don't want, Roman being getting beat down and and having to come back like an underdog. I mean, that's what they're setting him up as, and it comes across as fake. I don't know. I mean, Roman's been beating everybody for years now in WWE, so it's like all of a sudden he goes from that to being mortal and getting beat up every week. It's like, and then he gets pinned randomly, and I feel like in a random 6-man tag. I understand Roman's trying to put over his cousin, but it wasn't good. It felt flat, and
Yeah, and
there
like
was
I
an
said,
afterbirth too.
every single week it seemed like Roman was getting his ass handed to him, and Jimmy Uso as well. So of course they would beat up they would almost gonna put Roman Reigns through the table. And I said to you, I was like, oh no, come on, boys, no tables. Can we get please no tables? And they finally went away from the table, which was a great idea. Don't tease the tables. We've had enough of the tables in the 90s. I'm just so I was just like, come on, boys. So yeah, so I give this 2 stars. Again, I would have loved to have seen more from Roman Reigns, and I would have liked to have seen him at least pin Sokoa, excuse me, can't even talk. Blah, 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 blah. And then at the end, I mean, the Sami Zayn thing, I even told you, I said,
Yeah,
are we going to see a Sami Zayn appearance? And you're like, I don't know, maybe. And I'm
yeah,
like, and as soon as Sami Zayn's music hit, I went, oh, who got it? Who's the master now? Who's the queen? Here,
running down the
ring. And you didn't
the
know
bloodline.
whose side was he on? Because on SmackDown, or no, Raw, on Raw, we saw him talking to Sokoa.
Yeah.
So I think that sort of left a little bit of a little aftertaste in my mouth, but I mean, it's kind of like, is Sammy going to join? And I said, didn't I say to you on DM that it could be at War Games, it could be an 8-man there. So now Sami Zayn's going to get into the mix.
And we talked about it like a few weeks ago, where War Games is going to be a bloodline, and they honestly, I think they have to wrap this feud up. It's feeling flat, and it's feeling like the bloodline thing is dying off quickly. This story, and it's been going on for years, but it's finally feeling flat to me. And I'm just hoping they wrap this up at War Games with the baby faces winning, and they all start doing other shit. Because if this continues any longer, I get the feeling that it could die off, and people. I don't know. I'm just not liking this part of the bloodline Civil War story. I thought I would, but it's like. It's okay. Sammy comes out. They're getting their asses kicked again. The OG bloodline getting beat up. Sammy comes out to make the save. Solo thinks he's on their side, and then he starts fighting them. And then Sammy accidentally hits his finish on Roman Reigns, that kick, and then Solo leaves and starts laughing at them.
Right, so then
there's
Roman's
more dissension.
Yeah, there's more dissension. Jay is mad at Sammy, or Jimmy's mad. Yeah, Jimmy is mad at Sammy, and Jay's in the middle. And I'm just like, oh, boys, come on. I mean, what I would like to see maybe at War Games or at Survivor Series War Games, what I would like to see is Roman Reigns with a clean finish and a clean win over his own cousin. That's what I would like to see. And then, you can do whatever you want, split them up again, and do whatever you need to do. But what I want to see at Survivor Series War Games is a good, clean win and a strong win from Roman Reigns. And Roman Reigns has to be the one to do it, because he's gotten his ass beat now every single freaking week.
Yeah, and they're kind of like burying him in the process. I guess he wants to get over his cousin, but it seems like he's burying himself in the process. So, yeah, because he needs to be strong because he's going to be moved over to Cody Rhodes at some point for his rematch for the title. So, like, he needs to be strong because if he's getting his ass beat and losing, then Cody, why would Cody consider him a threat? So
Right. Absolutely.
so yeah, that was it was okay, and wasn't really that impressed with it. The next match, unfortunately for these girls, it was the women's world tag team title match in 12 minutes. Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill defeated Damage Control, Metal 4, and Chelsea Green and Piper Niven in 12 minutes. Again, I didn't watch this match, so I don't
Nope,
really
I
have
totally
much of an
tuned it out,
opinion.
and I was just like, "Yay, girls won! Whoopee!"
So yeah, I have no opinion. All right, Seth Rollins next match defeated Bronson Reed by pinfall in 12 minutes.
Now you were saying, and I kind of agreed with you for a split second, where you were saying how you think Bronson Reed should come out the victor here so they could get more matches, and that's not what happened. Seth
No.
Rollins won, but they still were kind of sowing the seeds there at the
Yeah.
end for maybe a possible rematch. And I was like, okay, I get that, but I mean, Seth is saying, okay, big man, you know where to find me if you want me. So there's going to be some kind of rematch here where I think
Yeah.
maybe Bronson Reed might be put over.
Yeah.
But I don't know. What did you think about this match?
They were putting over Bronson Reed as a monster because wherever Seth Rollins would do his offense, he would just pop back up, and he would pop right up, and he would pop back up. Even though at the end of the match he hit his stomp like 3 times, and once was on the steel steps, and that's where he got that cut here on his forehead. If you saw that,
Yeah, I
and
did.
so and then he hit his finish once in the ring. He went to the top rope and hit it again and then pinned him 1, 2, 3. But after immediately, as soon as Seth started leaving, just popped back up like nothing ever happened. So and Seth was like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" Okay,
Is
because
that what
it
he
seemed
said?
like, yeah, it came. Yeah, you read his lips. Yeah, it came across as Bronson was kind of going into business for himself. But then after that, he said, "You know where to come. You know you'll find me. You want me again, big boy." And like, okay, he's working. For a second, it came across as, is he going to business for himself? He's just popping back up on everything.
Like not
So
selling for him.
yeah. But I realized that was the match that was planned because they're trying to get over Bronson as a monster. But ideally, you would want him to get the win there. That way, even if Seth takes 90% of the match, which he didn't, it was more like 50-50. But even if Seth take a majority of the match, you got to get that. He has to get that win. But I understand he wanted revenge, Seth Rollins, for what he did to him a few months ago when he hit all those tsunamis on him, which was finish. And so Seth needed the win, but it's like, I mean, what should have happened is Bronson Reed takes 90% of the match, and then Seth gets lucky, hits his finish, and just pins him. Instead, we got 3 curb stomps again, multiple finishers, and 1, 2, 3, and then he popped back up, burying his finish basically. But nobody's a finish anymore. So as we talked about in wrestling, so
Yeah, I mean, they have multiple finishers. Like back in our day, I mean, the guys only had one finisher. That's why I'm saying either have a finish or don't have a finish, but don't do it multiple times because people get sick of it. It's like, oh, they're going to have to do that again, or they're not going to be able to pin them. And what did I say to you? I said it looks kind of like earthquake out there. That's what
yeah,
Bronson Reed reminded me of, like typhoon or air earthquake.
earthquake.
Sorry, blah 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 blah. Blah. I can't even speak today.
Yeah.
Yeah, he reminded me of the monster that was Earthquake when it was Hogan and Earthquake. Because I mean, he
Yeah.
just literally Earthquake was like this larger than life guy, and
It
I mean,
it
he
seems
really
like
wasn't.
yeah, it seems like they're trying to build up Bronson Reed for a title, probably Intercontinental or a US or something like that, because
Right.
eventually he's kind of going to wrestle for the world title, but not right now. He needs to be prepared, and Seth Rollins probably that guy to prepare him. If he wins the feud, which I expect Bronson Reed to win the feud, then he can definitely be elevated by that.
Mm-hmm.
So Yeah, I'm just hoping they just don't beat him clean and then push him back down the card again. So we'll see what happens there. But
So I
yeah,
give this 1.5 stars, excuse me, 1.5. It left a lot to be desired. And it just seemed to me like it was like a knockoff of Earthquake and Hogan, and it fell flat even for that. I mean, if you want to build up Bronson Reed as a monster, I get that, but I mean, at least have him sell something, anything.
yeah, he popping up like Seth Rollins' offense was basically meaningless. It's like, I get they're trying to put him over as a monster, but like it felt like they were just it was too much. I thought too. So it would have been better for Bronson Reed to take most of the match and beat up Seth Rollins, and Seth Rollins hits his finish once and gets lucky in 1, 2, 3, and then he pops back up again. That would have been better, probably not with the match that they did. So, all right, the next match was Liv Morgan defeating Nia Jax by pinfall and becoming the women's crown jewel champion in 8 minutes and 15 seconds. I thought this match was really short, and it was.
You say your spiel and then I'll say mine.
Again, I was surprised by this match. Again, it fell flat for me. It's like how Nia Jax didn't. I thought she would dominate the match and then maybe not beat her. I thought that Tiffany Stratton would have cashed in. She didn't. She teased it again multiple times, but she didn't. It's probably the perfect opportunity to do so. But for whatever reason, they didn't want to do it that night and today. And Dominic and the other girl, whoever I forget her name right now, interfered. Raquel,
Yeah.
yeah, interfered, and eventually, she hit her shitty finish, the Oblivion thing, the rolling thing, and she just pinned her 1, 2, 3. It's like, ugh. So she wins the women's crown jewel match. I mean, it was like, ugh, it just felt. It wasn't a good match, And neither Liv Morgan or Nia Jax or these amazing wrestlers, but even then, this was a bad pairing. This match should never happen like this. It should have been Rhea Ripley versus Nia Jax. That would have been way better. Or it should have been any other girl versus Nia Jax. I mean, Charlotte Flair versus Nia Jax. By the way, where is Charlotte Flair? She's been out all year, but she had a knee injury. She should have been back by now. It was just weird that she's still not back. I just thought of that. It's like, Becky Lynch versus Nia Jax probably would have been better too. I mean, this is what it just bleh, it just wasn't impressive. And then to give her that accolade of being the first crown jewel champion is like, I don't think she deserved that, but whatever. I didn't like this match. I don't know what you think, but
I gave it 0.5 stars because it's everything you said it was. It was flat, and of course you had to have Raquel and Dominic in there. And like I said to you, I was saying how, well, what happened to I thought Tiffany Stratton was going to also cash in, at least on Nia Jax, but she was saying Liv Morgan. I don't think Liv is at the potential of being the crown jewel or first crown jewel, but that's what happened. So, and my thoughts on Nia Jax, because I mean, Nia Jax sounds like a man impersonating a woman. I mean, it literally sounds like she's a tranny talking in a woman's voice.
I've seen Jim Cornette call her refrigerator. I mean, that's what she does.
And I kept saying that too. And of course, my man is laughing at me because, I'm like, oh God, there goes the refrigerator. And he starts laughing. I said, go find a Stairmaster, you pudgy bastard.
It was a bad pairing. I don't know what Triple H was thinking, but booking this match. But that's why I thought Liv Morgan would drop the title to Rhea Ripley before this match happened. Okay, be Rhea Ripley and Nia Jax. Rhea Ripley is an amazing worker. She would have made it work.
Yeah, but she would have made the match more exciting, whereas I think it fell flat because Liv, she's just, it's like, oh, do we have a volume lower than mute when she talks? I mean, come on. Excuse me. And then you have the whole, Tiffy Stratton thing. I was just like, ugh.
That was weird too, and it's like, it just wasn't good. I mean, this was a bad pairing. The whole Tiffany thing not happening. and then here comes Dom and the other girl Raquel to
Raquel, yep.
interfere, and then she hits her shitty like rolling DDT finish, and then 1, 2, 3. The way Rhea Ripley sells it is much better. It looks more brutal to move, but everybody else is like a rolling DDT, and it's like that's lame.
And everyone was like, "Well, my thing was, well, I guess Rhea wanted time off. She didn't want to go to Saudi Arabia, which is fine, but I still think she should have been the champion because you're right. She would have made a better match. She would have sold for Nia Jax, and it would have been, even if Tiffy had come out and like, I want to, cash in against Rhea, still would have been a better match than what they had. So 0.5 star.
It was a bad pairing, and I'm not sure you saw NXT, but they shot this angle in NXT where Raquel and Liv Morgan beat up Rhea Ripley with with lead pipes and fractured her orbital, so she's out indefinitely. So
and
that tells me.
What did I say to you? I said, "Oh, that could just be a fluke. Oh, she'll come back and she'll, even if she had like an eye patch over her eye, I was like, Rhea Ripley will still come back." And she'll interfere in this match because I was like, I don't think Liv's gonna win this.
I didn't think
because
so either,
I was so expecting Rhea to come out there and be like, "Oh no, you want to take me out? Oh no, that's not gonna work, chickie." Whatever. But 0.5 star.
So my guess was she's not going to come back to the Royal Rumble next year. She'll win the Royal Rumble, and they'll do Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania, and she'll win the belt back there, which means Liv Morgan's going to be a champion nearly a year, and it's like, Jesus. I wish they would have done the change at the last pay-per-view, but whatever. All right, the next match, the U.S. title triple threat, LA Knight defeated Andrade and Carmelo Hayes by pinfall.
I fell asleep during that match. But I woke up in time to hear, "Oh, LA Knight retained." I went, "Oh, goody for him. I'm going back to sleep."
And that wasn't, honestly, LA Knight is a personality. His work is like leaves a lot to be desired. It leaves a lot to be desired, to be honest. Without him working with like a Cody Rhodes or Roman Reigns, somebody like that, his work is a lot to be left desired. It's just not there. He's like kind of like Jey Uso. Like he's a personality. He's over as a personality, but as soon as you get him in the ring, it's mostly brutal. So and this match wasn't any different.
-1 star because I fell asleep through the thing.
It seemed like mostly Andrade and Carmelo Hayes were wrestling, and LA Knight's kind of hanging around outside, like
right.
And then,
hey, looking for someone to wrestle tonight.
And then LA Knight just popped in at the end, hit his finish on Carmelo, and just pinned him, and he retained the belt. I don't think he did much in this match, except that he did botch when he tried to jump up to the top rope. Instead, he crotched himself on the top rope. He crotched himself on the top rope. So
I admit I did not see this match. We have to, before we go to the Cody Rhodes and Gunther, we do need to mention, and again, guys, I understand this was not a match. It should have been.
Yeah,
but this also left a big bad taste in my mouth. Let them fight, boys. Start the damn match.
Randy Orton
Kevin
versus
Owens
Kevin
and Randy
Owens.
Orton, yeah.
It wasn't a match. It wasn't
a match.
Never happened. So Randy and Kevin both go to the ring, and then all of a sudden, I think Kevin starts to fight, attacking Randy Orton, and then boom, 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 they start fighting. Every referee calls extra help. Other referees come in. Eventually, Kevin Owens gives a stunner to one of the referees, and they keep fighting. And then I'm making this is a lot. It took a lot longer, but I'm just going through it quickly. Randy threw Kevin out of the ring, and eventually Adam Pearce tried to stop him, and Randy Orton RKO'd Adam Pearce. And then Nick Aldis, the other GM, kind of disappeared. He didn't want to take a bump, I guess. The other GM, Nick Aldis, kind of disappeared. He didn't want to take a bump. So it's like, and then they keep fighting and fighting to the crowd. And eventually Randy Orton ends up on a table, and Kevin Owens gets on the guardrail and jumps off, and they all go through tables. And that's the end of the segment. No match.
Yeah, guys, ring the damn bell. Everybody wanted to see this match because it was friend versus former friend, or friend versus friend, even though Kevin Owens went ape shit is what they say.
Yeah.
I still wanted to see this match, and it just, I'm like, just ring the damn bell, you idiots. Just ring the damn bell.
Michael Cole said early on they threw out the match. The referee throughout the match, so it wasn't gonna happen. So I was like, oh, okay, so that's not good either. I mean, what the hell are they doing? Because it was like, then they go through a table and that's it. It comes across as they were running short of time. So basically, they told Randy and Kevin improvise, beat each other up, but there's no match. But then I realized, it was a table. There were 2 tables set up there, so this was planned. It wasn't like it was like last second switch, an audible or something. No, this was planned. Like, this is what the match is supposed to be. So my guess is trying to sell Kevin Owens as a psychopath.
Yeah, it was a match, but wasn't a match. I mean, I don't. You can't have it both ways.
On SmackDown, Triple H told Randy Orton, Kevin Owens has lost his mind. He's not well, and
he's not.
He's trying to put him over as a psychopath. And it's like, okay, fine, you want the match, defend yourself at all times. And he walked away from him. So
right, and the end of SmackDown was Kevin Owens came out with a chair and hit Randy Orton in the back. Okay, that's what was sowing the seeds for this match in the first place. Why people wanted to see it, because they wanted to see Randy Orton get back at Kevin Owens and teach him a freaking lesson. And that's not what happened, guys. What happened was nothing. It never developed. I was just like, that really fucking sucked. You literally, I mean, if I were in Saudi Arabia, I would ask for my money back. I'd be like, fuck you. I want my money back, bastards. I asked for a fucking match between Kevin Owens and Randy Orton, and I didn't get one. All I got was shit.
It seemed like they're setting up for a match in the future. Like, this was they shot an angle setting up a match for the future, for other pay-per-view down the line. That's what it came across as, and it's like, well, that's brutal for the Saudi crowd, because they were expecting this match and didn't happen.
They were really expecting this match, because they were booing Kevin Owens and they were singing the song, the theme song of Randy Orton. I said to you on DM, I was like, man, they're singing. They really wanted to see this, and it was kind of like a big letdown.
Yeah, and it's just that they were shooting an angle for a future match at a future pay-per-view. So the Saudis got nothing. It seems like they're using these PLEs now to shoot angles for other future shows that are bigger. So it's like, oh, great, thank you. So, but this main event for the male Crown Jewel Championship was actually a perfect pairing, and this match was incredible. It's match of the night to me. Cody Rhodes is defeating Gunther by pinfall for the male Crown Jewel Championship. I love this match. I thought it was fantastic.
I admit I fell asleep through some of it. I'm very, very sorry. But I did wake up in time to watch Cody Rhodes win. So I did see the highlights though, and wow. I give it 3.5 stars. Again, guys, this is the coup de grace, the main event, and it lived up to every expectation. And they had mentioned that, when Cody Rhodes, flipped backwards and had Gunther down by his shoulders in the count of the 1, 2, 3. Yeah. And literally it came up where, Bret Hart did that to Rowdy Piper. In fact, I saw something on X where they were talking about that. So, coincidence? Yeah.
Bret also did that finish with Steve Austin. And when he returned at Survivor Series 96, when he returned. And so he did that pin when Austin tried to do the $1 Million Dream, and he just flipped back and 1, 2, 3, just beat Austin like that. Right. But yeah, and it was a great match. And then at the end, Gunther and Randy Orton, Gunther and Cody Rhodes shook hands. Randy Orton again. Gunther and Cody Rhodes shook hands, and like Gunther begrudgingly shook hands, and I was like, oh, you see, like he's like that traditional pro wrestler. He's not a sports entertainer. He's like a pro wrestler. So
he's a wrestler.
So they shook hands. Gunther walked away pissed off because he lost. So he should be. And then eventually Triple H came out with some of the Saudis, I guess the royal family. I don't know who they are, so some random Saudis.
Yeah, I didn't know who they were, but
yeah.
The reason why I gave this 3.5 and not 4 is because it didn't have that substance of being like a Kurt Hennig and Bret Hart kind of match. It was excellent. It was great because Gunther is such an old school wrestler. But as I said to you in DM, I just didn't see Cody Rhodes not winning that match because he is the face of the company. And not that Gunther is not, he is. But it always seemed like the Raw belts were always secondary. So what I think they did is they made one person from Raw win, one person from SmackDown. But you can't, no offense, but you can't have 2 SmackDown winners or 2 Raw winners because again, you have to show, evenly, 50-50 to everyone. But yeah, this match was everything it should have been. Congratulations to Cody Rhodes. I think you've done your daddy proud, and I think your dad is very, very proud of you. Wherever Dusty is, Cody, you're just killing it.
Yeah.
So
So
congratulations.
after the show was the post show where it's mostly just the ceremony where Triple H handed out those Super Bowl type rings
So yeah, and he was
to the
showing
winners.
it, yeah.
To the winners of the tournament.
And it seemed like the ring was a little too small because Cody's like, get on her. He's like, no, it's going, it's there, it's there. And then he showed his. I'm like, dang, that's a nice ring. Yep, there you go.
Yeah, so it says Crown Jewel champion. A Super Bowl ring. That's not really, and look how tight it is on his fucking finger. You can see it.
I
It's
know.
It's so tight on his finger. It's like, he struggled to get it in there. He's like,
yeah, he did.
And then eventually he got through. It's like,
I mean, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful ring. Of course, I am partial to emeralds. I really like emeralds. Not really much diamonds. I mean, if they are on the emerald, like if I got so I have a ring here that's just an emerald, but I've had several where they've had, because apparently emeralds don't come without diamonds. Well, I'm not really much for diamonds, but I mean, if they're there, they're there.
And Liv Morgan's ring was too big too. I mean, she'd put it on and then she took it right off. Yeah. So I guess they didn't get measurements for these guys or girls, girls, even though they knew. I think they might have known in advance that was the finish. So I don't know why they didn't get measurements, but okay.
Well, they did say the men's was a little bit bulkier than the women's because, I mean, everything has to be bulkier for some reason. I don't know what the difference is. I mean, if you've seen the male belt, it was bigger than the women's belt.
Another issue was Liv Morgan. That belt was even too big for her. She couldn't put it on because it would fall right off.
So she would just, hang it. She had her belt on, the Raw belt, but she would hold hers up high, and then Cody put his around his waist, and it looked nice. It's just, I don't get the difference of why the women's has to be smaller than the men's. It's Saudi Arabia, so I get it. But again, 3.5 stars, guys. This was a great match. Gunther, he really worked his behind off. From what I've seen of the highlights. I'm sorry I fell asleep through it. I was really tired. But in my defense, I slept through the LA Knight match too. Which happens when I'm laying down watching wrestling. I'm literally just like, what? Who won? Okay. Like I said, congratulations to Cody Rhodes and Liv Morgan, even though I think it shouldn't have been Nia Jax. It should have been Rhea Ripley, really. I think that's who should have won, but that's my own opinion. And then again, congratulations to Cody Rhodes. Very well deserved. Wherever your dad is, hon, he's proud of you. Real proud of you.
Yeah, so
you're doing your daddy justice.
At the end of the ring handing out ceremony, Triple H thanked everybody in WWE. Also thanked His Excellency too, which is Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. So that's what he meant by His Excellency. So of course she had to bow down to the Crown Prince. So that too, like oh, that's brutal. I mean, I get it. He's there. You have to suck up to the Crown Prince, but that's brutal. Have to do that.
I don't like the Saudi Arabia thing, considering what they did to our government and their involvement with a certain time and place. But I don't think I would be over in Saudi Arabia, so I condone the people that didn't go.
There's some wrestlers who refuse to go. CM Punk is one of them. That's why usually you see CM Punk basically either they shoot an angle where he's hurt, or they did like they did here. He takes time off.
Right. So, after that brutal match he had with Drew McIntyre. Holy cow.
Yeah, so
I would have given that 4 stars if they hadn't have used tables and stuff. The tables things leaves a bad thing in my mouth, and I just don't like it. It's like well overdone. Okay, boys, enough with the tables. We've seen that before.
Yeah,
I've seen this one before.
Yeah, that was Crown Jewel. I mean, I real quick want to go over this before Alex gets on, maybe like 10 minutes. So we also got to flip over the Rumble too. This is.
Oh yes, I heard about this on. I was listening to the newest episode of Jim Cornette, and we talked about this. We don't understand why the TKO, because TKO wasn't around in the 80s. So
it was WWE. It was Vince, Linda, and the company, which is WWF or WWE today.
Are you drinking without me?
No, I'm drinking sparkling water, but yeah.
How do you know that's not beer?
Yeah.
Joking.
So I know. I don't understand why TKO is being included in this lawsuit.
Neither did me and Jim Cornette. We're like, wait, what?
And then it's most likely TKO can call for a dismissal, at least from them, when they can be dismissed from the lawsuit based on the fact that they didn't own the company at the time. Hell, they didn't even exist at the time. The company was created when Endeavor bought WWE. So so blah blah blah, and blah, blah, blah. That doesn't matter much. The attorneys here filed a major lawsuit against World Wrestling Entertainment LLC, Vincent K. McMahon, Linda McMahon, TKO Group's holdings, on behalf of 5 survivors of abuse. The survivors, John Doe's 1 through 5, were known WWF or WWE as ring boys. Underage boys hired by the organization ringside announcer and ring crew chief Mel Phillips Jr. to assist with errands and other tasks and preparations of WWE's wrestling shows. The underage boys were groomed, exploited, abused by Phillips, who blah blah blah. And it's a video, so I'm just gonna probably play the video and we can react to it. What time is it? We got 10 minutes. So let me just do that. Then this basically explains what I just read, but it's an interview here, I think.
Wrestling's history.
It's part of a long-standing culture in wrestling of abuse and neglect.
Who is this person?
The darkest stories you can find in pro wrestling's history.
It's part of
who the hell is that?
Abraham Josie Reisman, who's a McMahon biographer.
What?
I'm guessing this is a trans woman. It's a trans woman. It has to be because his first name is Abraham. So it's like no female ever seen named Abraham. So
okay,
it gets to be like a trans woman. That's why it says her nickname is Josie. Everybody calls her Josie, but
a long-standing culture in wrestling of abuse and neglect. Local underage boys were brought to help set up the ring and do odd jobs.
One of the people who were coordinating to bring in these ring boys was a ring announcer named Mel Phillips.
The ring announcer approached me after the show. He said they were going to Philadelphia. Would I like to go?
He'd stand outside the car while all the little kids were playing and show them the belts. Like he always pulled out the belts.
I was 13 years old when I met Mel Phillips. Actually, I did say, I recognize you. You're Mel Phillips, the ring announcer. He said he wanted me to do him a favor. And I followed him into the dressing room. Once that door was closed, he just assaulted me, threw me down on the ground, got on top of me.
He asked me, you want to go inside? And you could see all the wrestlers. And, I was thrilled. He asked me to take my clothes off. You could tell I'm shaking right now thinking about it.
It started out just your toes. Then he'd basically make you cry almost and submit.
Yeah, Phillips has it as foot fetish for some reason. I've heard this from other ring boys.
Yeah, where they would rub it up against their stuff.
Yeah, for some reason he had a foot fetish. So,
But once you're flat on the floor or on the bed, you're stuck.
There was a very material harm that was happening, sexually assaulting the underage boys.
Ring boy Tom Cole exposed this scandal. He was the original who exposed
Famously, Tom Cole was one of the victims who had been abused by Mel Phillips and later was propositioned by Terry Garvin, who was vice president with
the other one. So it's Terry Garvin, Mel Phillips, and Pat Patterson, who was like the main instigator of all this.
This was a group of men that were executives. Terry Garvin, that was the underboss to Pat Patterson, who was the vice president. And Pat Patterson was the boss. He was the guy back there.
Well, he was Vince's right-hand man and still was. He was brought back like a year later. He's the only one that got brought back in secret.
I agree with Jim Cornette, though, that Pat didn't do anything. They just put Pat in there because he was gay. No.
Oh, that's interesting. I never, because this is the early 90s. So, yeah, it's possible that, because Pat, I don't remember Pat ever being mentioned by any of the victims. Maybe they did and I missed it, but they mentioned Terry Garvin and Mel Phillips definitely, but
well, and Jim said that Terry Garvin was not only doing it to underage boys, but also some of the wrestlers too. Like he was like propositioning wrestlers too. So it wasn't just either both. It was like either or.
The only thing I've heard is Roddy Piper in a shoot interview didn't directly come out and say it, but he intimated that Pat Patterson may have touched him inappropriately, like in the 70s.
Well, then that makes me question, like, was when Pat Patterson came out, Piper was there. He came out to a bunch of wrestlers right before he passed, and Piper was one of them. And Piper was shocked. He was like, "Wait, you're what?" Like they didn't believe it, but everyone knew Pat was openly gay.
Yeah.
So I maybe that was a work. But I don't know.
Just
throwing that out there. That
Piper,
that seems weird.
Piper kind of intimated that Pat may have touched him inappropriately in the 70s before he became a big star. But let's continue this a little bit more.
Horrific abuse of power. People being put in place and holding positions for years and decades in some cases because they were some of Vince's boys and Vince taking care of his boys.
Mel would get the boys when they were 13 and he would groom them. And some of them he groomed to bring.
Mel Phillips had a journal of young boys that he could go to and they were in the town. He had a journal. Ugh. I mean, this guy was a serial abuser of young boys. So
yeah, he was also a psychopath, and Jim. I'll wait till the end, but Jim Cornette talked about this.
Yeah,
bring up the line to Terry. It was like a baton they were passing.
And this was a major scandal in the early 90s.
I was grabbed on numerous occasions in my my testicles and my buttocks by Pat Patterson of the World Wrestling Federation.
Tom Cole said that Pat Patterson touched him, allegedly. So
he's the only one, though.
Yeah, I don't think any other of the victims were touched by Pat Patterson. He's the only one that alleged this. So.
And Terry Garvin propositioned me when I was 16, offered me cocaine and all kinds of drugs to have sex with him.
Linda McMahon was, part and parcel with Vince McMahon in terms of the goings on in the company, and absolutely was very connected with Tom Cole.
My brother said, "No, Vince."
There was a story that when this accusation came out, Linda was like, "Oh, what's the big deal? He likes feet, and let him touch feet." Is like allegedly, it's what Linda said, and she protected Mel Phillips. So it wasn't just Vince.
Because they supposedly fired him and then hired him back again.
They hired him
and
back.
Fired him finally. They fired him finally in 1988.
Yeah, they hired him back on the condition that he doesn't assault any more boys.
Right. Stay away from the boys is what they told him.
It's like, come on. They kind of today they cannot get away with that today. I mean,
actually,
even the allegation ruins your life these days. So it's like, even if it's not true.
Well, it depends on how rich you are.
He goes, I just want.
Well, yeah, that's true.
to work for you guys, and you guys chased me away. When I was 16, Terry Garvin did this to me. So Vince said, "Okay, I won't hire them back." He let all three of them go at that time: Mel Phillips, Terry Garvin, and Pat Patterson. So they were out of the company.
Mel Phillips was temporarily let go by the company and then brought back with the warning to stay away from the ring boys.
It's just unbelievable that they would keep someone like that around, a child molester.
The FBI confirmed there were at least 10 victims of Mel Phillips.
When the scandal came out with
allegedly,
they got evidence. They got a tape.
Because I don't think Mel Phillips ever prosecuted legally. I could be wrong.
No, none of these guys ever faced prosecution, and now they're all dead.
Yeah, so this is being brought up decades later for reasons. I mean, I don't know why there's a statute of limitations.
Yeah,
you can't go around suing everybody
That's what Jim Cornette said. Jim's like, why is this bringing back up again? This is like, what, 35, 40 years later, and now we're bringing it up again?
And Tom Cole settled with the World Wrestling Federation, like $50,000. I mean, there was an article about it. I read it. It's like, so why is his brother coming along is like trying to sue again? And I don't understand the legal rationale here, because clearly there was Tom Cole settled out of court with WWF and Vince McMahon. So I don't know why, this is popping back up again, at least from Tom Cole's side. The other victims, I don't think ever sued Vince, or they're not suing Vince. Actually, they are suing Vince today. What am I talking about?
A couple reports. They called him a predator in the report. They called him a pedophile in the report.
Because he is. Allegedly.
Yeah.
You had kids out there that were waiting for the feds to come to them to ask them questions. The feds never showed up.
Vince McMahon, one of the biggest names in the entertainment industry, has once again stepped down after accusations of rape, assault, and human trafficking.
Let's not forget this wasn't just Vince McMahon. This was a mass conspiracy of many people destroying many lives within an organization.
Mel injured me. He hurt me, caused me a lot of rage, suicidal thoughts.
It's embarrassing
sure.
to say that you.
I feel bad for the
molested.
victims. I mean,
He destroyed me. I'm shaking.
These
right
men
now.
are in their 50s and 60s today. It's just like years ago what's happened, and they're still struggling with it. So,
right.
I mean, abuse, when young boys are abused, they carry that the rest of their lives, unless they get massive therapy early on. So, carry that the rest of their lives. And that's Tom Cole deleted himself a few years ago because he couldn't.
Oh, no, you're kidding. I didn't know that.
Cole is no longer with us. He deleted himself like 2 or 3 years ago.
Oh my
He couldn't take it anymore.
Thinking about it, I don't trust no one in this world.
My brother-in-law called me and told me that Tom hung himself. To this day, I hear
They
Tom
said it right
voice.
there.
Gosh.
Tom Cole hung himself, deleted himself. So that's what so it happened.
Please let them know what they did to me.
To this day, I try to figure out what did we do to fall into that trap.
But you can't hide forever. The truth always comes out. They should have looked out for the
This
kids.
man is shaking. He's shaking. You see that? He's kind of like doing this. He's so scared.
Yeah, he's like this.
This is 30 plus years ago this happened. Yeah, so that's the video anyway. So, yeah, I mean, straight up abuse. I mean, right now, suing Vince McMahon 30 years later, I'm guessing, I don't know why TKO is part of this lawsuit. They had nothing to do with this. I'm guessing because they bought WWE, so they're involved, and because they now own the company. But
right,
that's the only reason why they're involved, I guess. But
right, let Alex on, and I'll do my spiel. Okay, so
is he here?
Yes, he just sent a private message.
Oh, sorry.
So here's my spiel, real quick, Alex. We're talking about the scandal. I did listen to Jim Cornette about this, and this was literally. They can't figure out. We're guessing because of the E. Jane Carroll thing and Trump thing.
What's the scandal thing?
It's a ring boy scandal.
The ring boy scandal.
Yeah. So this was back in their late 80s, early 90s, where they would have young boys. And this is what Jim Cornette said. Jim Cornette said, "How could you let a 13 or 14-year-old kid carry a 500-pound ring post?" I mean, there had to be at least 3 or 4 or 5 of them on that ring post alone. But you have to understand, guys, teenage boys, even if they are 13 or 14, can't handle the same weight as like those wrestlers could do. Oh, those wrestlers, it would take like 1 or 2 of them to even pick up one of those ring posts. But I mean, you're talking about young boys, and that's what they preyed on. So they think it was a big scam that they just got these several boys. And there was there was more than 10 of them. There was at least, 20 or 30 of them where they would just say, "Hey, come work for us and we'll give you seats we'll give you like floor seats and you can sit there and watch the wrestling matches." And then Phillips had his own designated, dressing room, which was literally just any dressing room he found that was vacant. So I think what happened here is there was and it was allowed to happen for 10 years. So I think what happened was they found these boys and trafficked them so that Mel Phillips and Terry Garvin could abuse them. Again, I agree with Jim Cornette. I don't think Pat Patterson had anything to do with it. I think they just threw him under the bus because he was gay.
And
they had talked about this before where, Jim was like, oh, that's just a rib where they would go and grab your dick in the locker room. That was a big, I grabbed your dick. What are you going to do about it? But I mean, all the guys were doing that. So it wasn't just, Terry Garvin and Mel Phillips. But I mean, I think it was a big traffic scam where they trafficked these boys and got them into Mel Phillips' hands and Terry Garvin's hands and literally just ruined their lives. I think this happened for 10 years? Because again, rich people get away with everything. Poor people get away with nothing. Remember, Vince McMahon was still very rich at this time.
This is the early 90s.
Yeah. So why this happened for so long? I think that, again, today, the P. Diddy stuff is coming out, but guess what? The Jeffrey Epstein stuff will never come out. That little black book is never going to be shown because again, there's a lot of rich people who would be caught with their pants down.
Unless it's Donald Trump, then they release 100 hours worth of tapes alleging that Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump were best friends. But other than that, nobody else is going to get thrown under the bus for this. No one else is going to, And we know for a fact that Gates was on the flight logs. RFK Jr. was on those flight logs. Noam Chomsky. Everyone seemed to be on the flight logs of that Lolita Express. Bill Clinton, another one. And you see they're still walking around free, guys. I mean, Mel Phillips was allowed to die. He was allowed to pass on a free man. Terry Garvin allowed to pass on as a free man. Again, guys, this is because right, and this was a big scandal because it was literally covered up by Vince and Linda McMahon. See, the rich get away with everything, and the poor get away with nothing. You know what's? There's another thing. Vince McMahon covered up a murder. I mean, we got into that deletion.
Jimmy Snuka.
Like back in the early 80s when he first bought WWF from his
So it's
dad.
not the first time that this kind of stuff would happen. Again, rich people will cover up anything. Look what happened with Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein can't talk because he's not here with us. He was deleted. So I think in the grand scheme of things that what's going to happen now is like literally where you're going to see probably some more stuff come out. But again, the reason why this is coming out now, I think, is because Vince McMahon has stepped aside. He can no longer embarrass TKO. He can no longer, embarrass the WWE. So I think, that's why this is coming out. If the Jeffrey Epstein little black book did not have a bunch of rich people with their pants caught, pants down, so to speak, like the P. Diddy stuff, who was at those parties, who wasn't, who had the scandals, who didn't. You're never going to know any of that stuff. Yeah.
Everyone was at those parties because now we're seeing all these celebrities endorsing Kamala Harris, like trying to trip over themselves to endorse her. There's a reason for that.
Is there a reason? Yeah. I mean, did they have something to do with it? Coincidence? I think not. But I think it's coming out now again because one, I think that Vince McMahon can no longer has that WWE stench on him. He's been away for a while now. Now it's Triple H's WWE. So I think that this Ring Boy scandal coming up again is all because Vince doesn't have that stench on him, and everyone knows he's an evil billionaire. So because of the other scandals he's had,
and I know it's related, but don't forget the what the Fabulous Moolah did years ago when he tweeted the female wrestlers, whatever that was.
She would pimp them out.
Yeah, whatever it was. But all I remember is that when in 2018 for WrestleMania, when they were going to have the Fabulous Moolah
Battle Royal
or whatever, but they had to get
that scandal came out, and it was fucked. Like Vince had to remove her from the name.
Yeah.
And let me end these live streams. Oops, I messed up. Hold
on. Head over to Rumble, guys. We'll see you over on Rumble. Thank you, YouTube. We'll see you next week.
Yeah. So there's a documentary about the Ring Boy scandal. Wait,
isn't it Dark Side of the Ring?
No. There's somebody else.
No, there's no
it.
Dark Side of the Ring for it. I thought there was.
I'm
thinking of something else then.
Hold on. Why is this popping up here? All right, yeah, let's just end that.